and live your life today. It doesn't matter what they say.
Welcome to this Lotus Live. I have been waiting for this Lotus Live since I heard about Collaborate with Cosmos journal that came out like so unexpectedly a couple of months ago, right? I think January.
Yeah.
January was the first one. Okay. Well, thank you for everyone who's joining us live and on the replay. I am Lori Kinsey with my beautiful partner, Mallory Kirsten, and then Jamy. Yeah, Jamy Miranda here with Collaborate with the Cosmos Journal. And I'm just really excited to be in this space with you both because I love you both so dearly.
Same.
Aww.
It's so good. Every single time we have these conversations, it's amazing. So I'm just happy that we're able to actually share this one. Oh, good. They can hear us just fine. So,
Yay.
yeah. Do you care if I just kind of start it off real quick? Okay. So I am super excited about this because you have put together something that I literally do every single day. Only you have made it into a way that like you have simplified it. You've taken everything that I have, me personally, collected with human design, astrology, numerology, the moon magic, the feminine cycle. I mean, literally everything I document my life with. And you have put it all together in one space, in one book, in one, it's just super easy. So I just would like to know, first of all, how did this come about? Because I think it surprised all of us when you released it.
It really was.
Me too, actually. I actually, it started from the same thing that you were just talking about, actually, is that every day I was having to go to all these different places to find all this different information. And when I was studying astrology, one of the things that our teacher had us do was to write a journal daily and start to pay attention to what was happening in our own lives as the different transits happened. And I realized there really isn't anything available that has all of this. So it's been gestating for a while. You know, it's like, oh, I should create this. I should do this thing. And then literally it was like middle of December, I started playing with a format. My older daughter, Lydia, showed interest. She's like, I'll help. I'll look up information. I can tell you, you can put it in. And it became like this kind of collaborative thing with me and my older kiddo. And I just like in 5 days, got the whole format done for the January one and sent it to the publisher, and it was born.
Wow.
And then each month I've added something. So February, I added some somatics things. And then for the March edition, I added some wealth expansion as well. So it's like it's continuously evolving until it's all the way complete. But that was, yeah, I had to just birth it. I had to let it be and then let it evolve. So that is where it started, is me doing similar to you and deciding I wanted it all in a simple, easy place where I could be devotional with it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Talk about something that just magically happens when you're aligned and in flow and listening to the guidance.
Exactly. And I was like in it, like I didn't eat more than once during those days because I was just so like excited about what I was doing. And we were up till like midnight, and my husband was like, are you guys like, what are you guys doing? Are you going to go to sleep? Like, what's happening? But we were both so into it and so excited and almost obsessed with it. And then, yeah, it all worked perfectly. So,
wow. So like working till midnight and like only eating once a day. Like, okay, so for each month, like how long did it take you to put together all of the information for each?
Well, so that now that I have the outline, it's a matter of updating for each month. So it was creating the whole structure that took so long. But now that the structure is there, it's like each month I can just put in the new information and it goes much quicker. Now it usually takes Lydia and I like 2 days to get it all, because we get it all in and then we print it and we double check it all, and just want to make sure that it's accurate. And so we spend a day and a half or 2 days getting each month ready. And we're now at a place where we can start working further ahead. It's like after January went out, then we were like having to get February ready to get out. And now March is done, and we're actually going to work ahead a bit, so that what we'd love to do is actually do it as a subscription, so people don't have to worry about remembering to order it each month. That it just gets sent to your door without you having to think about it until you choose otherwise. That'll work easier for us and for, I think, everybody that's using it. So
yeah. That's
Staying up till midnight. I'm just like in awe of like these generator powers that are right before me. I'm like, whoa, midnight. When was the last time I stayed up till midnight? And I was actually awake. I don't even think I made it to midnight on the 31st, like for New Year's. Like I don't ever make it to midnight. I'm yawning by like 7 o'clock. And that's
my
after
generator engine was just like, oh, I love this.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's like you have the energy when it's aligned. You have the energy to do everything that you're meant to be putting out into the world. So it's just like, that's exactly what happened for you. And that's just so beautiful.
Yeah. That's how I knew I was onto something, is like, I have endless energy to do this. So and it's wonderful. I love it. I'm not great at like maintenance things. I tend to be a starter, and so it's like things that require daily maintenance I can get a little slack on, journaling being one of those things, but I know how powerful it is when I do it. And so that's part of what this did for me, was like create an easy place for me to do that. It's like all lined out and structured, and I can just go in, plug right into what's there and do the work without having to think about it too much. And that helped me a ton. It was like for my own devotional practice, really. But
we have some comments going on. I just want to say hi to all the people that are joining us. Hello to everybody. We've got Amanda Monk on here saying hello, beautiful ladies.
I love Amanda.
Yeah.
Hey, hi.
And Kristen Atkins, hello. I don't know if she's at the hospital working today or what. And then Kim Harlan Wheeler is in the house. And she's saying there's lots of magic on one screen. And I can feel it. I can feel the magic. It's always so good. So I wanted to ask you, so I've been talking to a lot of different people about this because, I feel like we have all been together for a while. We've known each other for a while, the three of us. And so we get together and we talk about human design. We talk about gene keys and astrology and numerology and all the things and live our life this way. But other people, it's also new, and it's actually like quite the buzz now that we're into this new timeline.
Yeah.
And so with Red Lotus Life, this is actually why, Mallory and I started shifting the energy of what Red Lotus Life is to actually shift and be the bridge, like we're bridging the gap into the new timeline. And so being able to introduce all of these tools and all of these ways to actually live a life of ease and flow. So as I've been talking about it with different people on the side, they've been messaging me and just being like, hey, but I don't know what human design is, and I don't know what gene keys is, and I don't know, or they'll know like this much, like their profile, and they don't really know how to implement it to actually use these tools in their life.
Right.
So I would love it if you would just touch on maybe each little piece, maybe explain what each piece is and how the tool is used in the life.
Absolutely.
And then maybe go into even the journaling piece and how that works out every day.
Sure, I would love to. I have one here. I have the February and the March one. So I was very aware of that. Like when I first started putting it together, it was like, I'm just going to put the transits, daily journaling. And then I'm like, wait a second. Assuming you know what these things are. And, not everybody does, or I would at least like to make it available to people who are curious and beginning to explore these things as well. So the first whole section of the book is actually kind of highlight an overview of each of the tools. So I have like very general basics on astrology, on human design, on gene keys, numerology, like a summary of each of the signs and the houses and all of that sort of stuff. So you can kind of start to interpret for yourself. And then I have a space for you to start to explore your own charts is the next section of the journal, where you can look up your astrology chart. And I give kind of a quick tutorial on how to read it. You can move your human design chart in, as well as your gene keys profile. As well as figure like what your personal year and months are for each month. So there's that kind of foundational information available in every journal. And then my intention is to continue to just start offering little tidbits as we go through. The February journal also, I kind of reformatted it a bit because there were a lot of people who were, like seeing all the information. It's like, oh, this is great, but what the heck does it mean? And so in the February journal, I formatted it so that we can explore that a little bit each day. So like, I don't know if you can see it very well because of my lighting, but so it's like, it starts with kind of the numerology and the astrological ruler of the day, just to give like an overview. I consider this like checking the weather. Like I wouldn't, when I get dressed, I'm like, how is it going to be warm today? Is it going to be rainy? So I know what to wear. This is kind of how I look at this. It's like, what's going on today? Is this a good day to be sending emails, or maybe a good day to be working on some content? I don't, it's like, depending on what's going on. And then there's what's happening in all the planets. But what I did was added this section here where it's like, the sun is generally kind of our like personality and expression. So we can start to take notes, like noting that it's in Pisces right now. So what is my understanding of Pisces? So each day we kind of get to feel in and learn a little bit more about what that means for us, and take notes about like how we're feeling as well. Because that's the main thing. I think before anything else, the most important thing for me to remind people is that this is not informing you or telling you anything beyond your own wisdom and knowledge deeply rooted in yourself, that it's actually a tool to support you in making the best decisions. I firmly believe that we don't, it's like not outsourcing our power to the cosmos or the planets and what's happening. It's like, let's utilize our awareness to be sovereign and make powerful and wise choices in our lives. Like if I have a photo shoot planned and it's raining that day, it's like I still get to choose whether or not I do that, but I get to choose how prepared I am to go do whatever it was I was planning to do. So that's important for me to clarify in any regards to astrology, human design, gene keys, whatever you have. Mm-hmm. Then I have the human design and gene keys gates, the sun and the earth for each day. And this is kind of what's happening in the collective. What the sun is moving through a gate, and it's kind of activating certain themes in the collective. And the earth is actually gives us hints or clues on what energy we can use to journey that sun transit easiest, like what's going to serve us in kind of moving through those transits. So I have both of those things available, as well as what the human design line is for the day, because each line has a different frequency as well. And then
I have a question.
Yeah.
I have questions.
Please ask away.
So this is where I was like, I need to ask a question, but I wanted to do it here. Oh, and anybody who's watching the replay, please ask the question.
Ask away. Yes.
Yeah, ask the questions. We'll come back and check that out if it is on the replay. Okay, so today I am just not replenished at all. My energy is so low compared to what it normally is. And
Yeah.
I've been doing all the clearing around it, and I was trying to replenish and feed some bodies and like emotional body. And it just wasn't working. I even went out in nature. That usually will, replenish me, ground and center. I couldn't do it. And then all of a sudden I have an astrology app, and all of a sudden I got this pop up, and I have something going on today. I don't know a lot about astrology at all, which is why I'm so grateful for this journal, actually, so that I can learn more.
Yeah.
But it pops up this afternoon and tells me that I should be taking the day off. I shouldn't be in the spotlight or on a stage, which we're here. We're here. It said, it literally says I should stay in bed and just relax today.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kind of went, oh, okay, that's why. And I wish I would have known that prior to, because then I could have planned my day differently, my work schedule differently, whatever it was.
Yeah. It's like we're fighting against the grain sometimes. If we don't know which way the energy is flowing, then we have to exert extra energy to do that. And I think something that you point out is important to recognize is that the transits and things that are happening in the sky, there is like a kind of collective general overview of that. But more importantly, it's how it impacts your personal chart. And that's why looking at it on a regular basis and becoming familiar for yourself. God, when the moon is in this sign, I'm extra emotional. Someone else over here could be extra, extroverted and energized, and I'm the opposite. So it's like really starting to know yourself and the way that these things impact your personal life. Yeah. It's very important.
So, and I loved how you said before that these were just tools, that everything's within you, right? It's your knowing. And
yes.
And so for me, that was a confirmation,
Right. Yeah, you knew. But it's like, what's happening?
Yeah, it was. And then hashtag, of course. Of course, the cosmos has something to do with it. So.
Always. When you think about the fact that, we are on, a rock spinning and hurling through space with thousands of other celestial bodies, it's bound to impact what we're experiencing, so I love it. It's always very accurate for me. I used to be like, whatever, it's just, nonsense stuff. But it's always very accurate and helps me to be in tune with what's going on. So.
Right. Because I think something that very pertinent to a lot of the people in Red Lotus Life in this group is that, so many of them are empathic by nature. Right. And so when we know what's happening collectively, we can it's a little bit easier to differentiate, okay, what's mine and what am I actually feeling? What am I picking up on with the collective? And I feel like things just in general are still pretty chaotic right now. And so for many of us, it's almost like we've adjusted so that we're like, okay, well, it's just chaotic and that's just how it is, right? And so we've adjusted. And so at some level, it's like we've become used to stuff. And so I love about this and what you're talking about of giving this little bit of a bird's eye view of what's happening collectively is that I can go, oh, there's already a predisposition for XYZ. So now it's just an awareness. And I just find with a lot of, people who are really into astrology and numerology and human design is that they're almost superstitious about it no, I cannot do this because of XYZ. And that's what I love about the journal is that, and just you in general and your messaging and everything that you talk about online, because it's never about, I can't do this because the full moon is in Pisces this month. Right. It's, the full moon is in Pisces. I know that there's a predisposition for this and I can make a different choice.
Exactly. I just watched a live from, he's an astrologer. His name is Colin Bedell, I think, but he was talking about how, like, when you're driving down the highway, if you know that your turn is coming up soon, that you can prepare to signal and to, get off, as opposed to like, oh shit, there's my, like there's my exit and you're being reactive. You can kind of plan ahead, know where in the map that things are happening, and just allow for a little bit of stability in our bodies, and a little bit of, like when our bodies are in response and in reactive mode, we are less connected to our resources. So it's like giving our bodies and our energy, so our energy bodies, our emotional bodies, even our physical bodies, a little more insight so that we can be prepared. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So just to finish on the astrology part here, the last thing that I have on this page is moon cycles, specifically where she's at, what's going on, and what that energy supports each week. I'm into astrology, and I learned things going through this. I always thought like, oh, the moon's in whatever, the full moon. I was only looking at like the full moon or the new moon and looking really big at it. And as I was studying this, I'm like, oh, she's like a consistent cycle, slow, like smaller time frames. What am I focusing on manifesting for the next 28 days? Like, what can I do at this point? What energy can I, like what can I refine this week? What can I really, dig in deeper and really put some energy towards? What am I harvesting this week? And it's like, it's a much more intimate cycle with the moon versus the sun and, all the other outer planets. So that was a big learning for me, actually, in putting this together.
Yeah. I've actually been diving deeper into that and actually running my business that way.
Yeah.
And it has been crazy.
It's a game changer.
It is. And to be supported in that way. And so I know there's a lot of members here in Red Lotus that have been wanting to start with living their life with the moon specifically.
Yeah.
So I am very excited that we will be learning more about this.
Yeah. And I actually, so each day I have what percent she's at and whether she's waxing or waning, what quarter she's in, when to like harness, like her full moon energy, and what, how to do that from my perspective. And it's been pretty magical. And the other thing too is for female bodied individuals, I also have a place to track where you're at in your own moon cycle. It's like, because while there is like a collective cycle happening, there's also our own internal cycle that's happening, and whether or not we're waxing or waning, or what's happening within our own bodies plays a part as well. So
yeah, there's been a lot of talk and interest on that as well here in the group.
awesome. Yeah.
Kristen has, what is she saying? Kristen is saying, an astrologer I know said that at one time physicians had to know. So, okay, real quick. Do you know Kristen Atkins? You know Kristen, I believe.
Me?
She's Jamy. Sorry, Jamy.
I'm not sure.
So she she's like a soul sister to Mallory and I. And she was part of our soul alchemy where Mallory and I actually met, and she is a physician. She's a physician in Washington, D.C. And she says, an astrologer I know said that at one time physicians had to know astrology in addition to medicine in order to adequately help people.
Mm-hmm. I just read something about that recently, actually, how that was actually a part of the practice, was like not doing big surgeries at certain times. And, I know it's like certain planetary placements are not ideal for certain things.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's crazy. So she says there's a Google Calendar plugin that will tell you the quarter cycles. So, this is really good stuff. I'm excited to see what all the members end up saying in here and commenting as they watch the replay.
Yeah, and I know it's a lot of information. It's like, I even was like, I'm like, this is a lot to look at and to think at and to consider. And it's like, it's slowly integrating and becoming more useful, but it's a lot of information. And so, just remember to like, take it slow, like take what serves you and apply it and not try to bite off too much initially, unless you know, and you're feeling it. But like, I just want to, I guess, speak to not being too overwhelmed by all of it too. So
I haven't purchased one of the journals yet. I want to get the March one so that I can begin.
Mhm.
How many pages is each day? Or is it?
There's
I don't
4
know.
pages. So there's like the astrology, human design, moon kind of information page, and very little journaling, like exploring the sun in Pisces and what that means to me. Like what I've done is I'll even Google or look up, like, what does this mean? And like start to kind of piece together my own understanding in addition to what I have at the beginning of the book, because astrology is, it's unique to whichever astrologer it's coming through. It's a reading, and one astrologer might say that this is there's obviously kind of standards things about each of the signs, but the way we interpret it can be, have its varying differences in our own perspectives as it comes through. And so I always like to look and see what other people, how they interpret the energy as well, just to give a richer, fuller version for myself continuously. But then on the second page is like the somatics part. Like there's a part for you, there's like body graphs where you can actually start to track feeling tension in your neck, or I've had a headache for the last 3 days, and start to kind of look at what that means. Like if it's at the front of your body or the back of your body, left or right, different sections. Leisha Nelson just did a really great live in the Collaborate with the Cosmos community group about somatics and reading bodies and how to, understand what your body might be communicating with you. And the reason I put that in there is because it's something that we can kind of forget. It's like we can get to the end and be like, oh, my neck is still hurting. Whereas if we check in the morning, like scan our bodies, what's going on? What am I feeling right now? And start tracking that and notice what's going on either in the cosmos or in our own lives. And then also a place like a personal tracker, like how was my mood? How was my energy? How was my appetite? These sorts of things, and a little place to kind of note those things. And then also a space for people that log things. This is another thing. It's like I had a food and exercise log. I had like the astrology journal. I had the human design thing I had to log into, like all these things. So I was like, well, I would like a place to kind of write that down if I want to. I have a place for a daily card draw. Like if you do, if you want to do a card draw, and now at the beginning of the month too, I actually have a place to do like a monthly spread as well. And
Cool.
Mallory, I know you do that sometimes in this group, don't you?
Mhm.
Yeah. So
But then in your journals, you can make it even more specific to you, because I do it for the energy of the group as a whole,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's And then the last 2 pages are journaling. So it's all sectioned journaling. I do gratitude journaling. It's the first one for me. Tapping into gratitude for me is the key to activating and accessing different timelines, like higher frequencies within myself. I do creation journaling. So this is like what, like manifestation journaling, essentially. Like what do I want to experience in my reality? I write this in like present tense. Like this is what I'm experiencing. This is what's happening in my life. And I will tell you that shit is powerful. Like, I actually just looked back to my 2019 journal, and then recognized that all of, or it's actually 2018, and then all of 2019, I was actually doing what I had said I wanted to experience in my 2018, like creation journaling. And I hadn't put 2 and 2 together until I looked back and was like, holy crap. One of them was like traveling the world. And I think I traveled every single month in 2019. I was somewhere doing some purpose work every single month in 2019. And I wouldn't have put 2 and 2 together if I hadn't looked back to see that that was something I wrote every day, was that I'm, traveling the world in alignment with my purpose work. And then I was like, whoa, it just like blew my mind that was happening.
Yeah.
Then big why journaling, like really allowing yourself to connect to why are we doing this? Like, why am I putting this effort in every day? So on the days when it's hard and challenging, I've started by reconnecting to what's driving me. and the bigger purpose behind the things that we're doing every day.
Love that.
Dream journaling is the fourth one.
That's a good one.
Start tracking. Because I wake up a lot and I'm like, oh, I'll remember, and then I don't. So I'm starting to keep track of dream journaling, and then just space for journaling in general. Because after the first one came out, a lot of people were like, there wasn't enough room for me to like really, expand and go into things. I wish there was a little more room. And so that's why I kind of expanded it and added 2 pages for journaling. And then a space for daily priorities or to-dos. Like if I'm connecting to my big why and I get to like make this phone call today or take care of this thing, that there is a place to track that as well. Yeah.
Love it. It's all so good.
Nice.
I know.
I'm just like soaking it all in, going, yes, because just like what you said, I have all the different journals. I probably have 20 different journals.
I know.
that
Yeah.
I'm doing all the things in.
Yeah.
So,
and we have a lot to do in the day. It's like there's a lot to do, and I didn't want to spend all my time in all these different places. So something I did forget to say though is in the March one, I also added a wealth amplification section because yeah.
Yes.
All the business owners are like, yes.
Right? Well, if we're not looking at our money on a regular basis, we're kind of avoiding what's happening. And it really is a process of getting intimate with your money, with your ins and outs. Like it's very basic, but it's also a big point of resistance for a lot of people. Simple in and out, like what my intentions are and the actuals. And we can start to become accountable to ourselves for how our money is moving. But I also know that what we focus on, we amplify, so it's like, let's just bring that in every day. There's a spreadsheet at the beginning of the month, like what are my intentions and then what are the actuals. But then on a daily basis, I can actually track and help find like money leaks and things like that. Like, oh my gosh, I had no idea how much I was spending at Target, things like that. If I'm serious about building wealth, I need to be accountable for those things. So that's in the March one and will be in all of them going forward.
Yeah.
And also just kind of what I love about this also, let me just put my 2 cents in here, because that's just what I do, is the fact that it appeals to all kinds of people, because I'm hearing Lori talking about like, I have 20, because she's a lot more organized than I am. Let's just be real. Like I have these 20 different things and I'm looking at all these 20 different places. And then you have the me's of the world who are like, well, if it's not easy, I'm not going to fucking do it. Like, so it's like, it's perfect for the me's of the world and the Loris of the world who, would like to save the time of looking at the 20 different places. And then the people who, want to develop and who are developing, but like, right now, because the things are not all in one place for me, I'm like, okay, I'm focusing on human design right now. And that's what I'm doing. And instead of looking at the bigger picture and how all of it fits in, because the accessibility just isn't there. Right. And, it's the Loris of the world and the Mallory's of the world. So it's like perfect.
I'm somewhere in between the two of you. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'm going to come there's a couple of questions in here, but I'll come back to the questions in a minute. But I wanted to, this is lighting me up because I'm sitting here, let's talk about the energetics of the new timeline real quick, and talk about old journaling versus what you have created within the last few months, because it's just like everything. So for people that don't know, I'm a generator. I have all my stuff right here so that I can remember it. But basically it's like to respond is my strategy, and so everything in here is like lighting me up going, yes, 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 yes. I want this in my life. And when it comes to the energy of the new timeline, this is how we're manifesting. This is how we're creating. This is how we're designing and creating this desired life. So if you would take a minute to just speak on that, that would be amazing.
Like even comparison in the intentions and the energy that we're holding when we do this journaling. My journaling used to be very much so almost processing old wounds. Like, let me just focus on all the things that are challenging me right now versus like, what am I intentionally creating? And that doesn't mean bypassing or disregarding those emotions, but I was spending time like focusing on all of that continuously. And like Lori said, there's a new vibration in the way that you are intentionally using the space to create fire. We, like, on a physical level, even our brains look for confirmation of the things that we believe. And when we are daily upgrading our unconscious and conscious minds about what is possible for us and what we desire our reality to look like, we start to like get our unconscious mind on board to be looking for these opportunities, to be pulling us towards these new experiences. In 2018, I couldn't afford to travel hardly anywhere, like travel was a big dream for me, but it was like daily I was telling myself, this is the life I live. I travel in alignment with my purpose work because this is what I want. And it was like my unconscious mind started to show me the opportunities I couldn't see before because I hadn't kind of programmed or intentionally set that focus for myself. So the journaling really is about, harnessing our creation ability as divine sovereign beings on this planet who are like ushering in a new freaking reality for ourselves individually, but also for the collective. Yeah.
Yeah. There's just, my mind's just going in a million places.
The two generator brains are like,
I know, it's true. It's so true. But there's something to all of this, and it's what we, what Mallory and I and everybody, all the people who come in to do these Lotus Lives, this is what we preach, this is what we teach, this is how we live our lives. And it's literally magic when it is, the thought process of going from the thought into the body, the signals from the brain into the body, the energy and the motion of writing this in the journal.
Yeah.
And actually creating it. Leah Steele always says abracadabra, right? Like this is literally what is happening.
As
And
I speak, I create.
Yeah, it is powerful. And for those that are new to the group, we have a lot of new people. You can go back into the Lotus Life library, and this is like we have so many live streams where we're talking about exactly this and using the energetics to manifest. And it's so easy now.
Yeah.
That's kind of what's happening too, is that when you do the work, like what you just said, and you have the documentation to actually even go back and see what you were working on before,
it
is manifesting either the good stuff or the bad stuff, or not. I don't want to say bad, but you know what I mean, more vibrational.
We're going to learn, right? And it's like, are we going to keep creating the hard lessons, or are we going to start creating alignment with what we desire to be experiencing? Either way, we're creating, but can we be more intentional about creating what we actually desire? I actually do something each month too. I mean, because I am a little bit witchy and like magic-y. So I actually even write in the beginning of my journal, like that what I put into this journal is like energetically charged and becomes true. And, it's like, I just kind of like make a little spell on my on my journal each month too, just like claiming that that's the work I'm doing as I connect with it daily. So
yeah, love that. Absolutely love that. Because you can literally, if you go back and you look at journaling, you can see where the paradigm shifts begin. And it's starting here and then pivoting.
Yeah. And I think that like, if you're not paying attention, you can miss it. I was like halfway through 2019 traveling everywhere before I was like, holy crap, like I'm living a new reality this year. And I didn't recognize it right away, because it just seemed so seamless and just happened. And if I wouldn't have like stopped to kind of take stock and pay attention to what was happening around me, I could have just completely missed the fact that I was in the middle of creating a new experience and a new reality, and still been like, life's just hard. I just don't really get what I want. And, telling myself the same old story. So
Yeah.
valuable. Yeah.
Okay. Do you care if I go back and take a look at these comments real quick?
No, that'd be great. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So Callie says, where do you get the journal pages? For now, it's only 1 month at a time. Am I correct?
Yes. So each month it's available. Part of that is because I'm creating them as quickly as I can to get them out for the month. But also, I mean, they're like, I can't remember how many pages they are, but they're like 90 pages or something, 130 pages, something like that. So it's like, if I were to put the whole year together, it'd be like, a massive book. So yeah, it comes out each month. And I am always open to suggestions. Like each month I'm kind of adding something new until it feels complete. The thing I want to add for April is actually, what is it called? Like transit aspects is what it's called. So a lot of people think astrology is like, what's my sun sign and what's my horoscope for the day? But like, it's so much more than that. It's like, like I'm a brunette. So what color box dye should I buy? It's like, there is like such a wide range of colors and tones and shapes of this. And that's what our charts are like. So if you just think your sun sign means something, there's so much more to it. And one of those things is the way that the current planets moving through the sky talk to each other and also talk to the planets in your own chart. So I'm wanting to add a little more information on that level for more advanced astrologers, but also for people who want to start exploring into that as well. So yeah, it's once a month and it is full with the information and the journal pages each month.
Cool. And we'll definitely be dropping a link in the group and on this live stream and in the comments. We'll be
and I will say
link.
I have like maybe 11 or 12 of them here that I can send probably easiest to people in the States. Because I know that sometimes the distributor takes a while, like it can take like 10 days. And so if people order from the link, then you might not get it into March, but I'm also offering a PDF version for anybody that does want to order a hard copy that way. But if people are interested, I do have some on hand here that I can get in the mail and, have to you in 2 or 3 days, anywhere in the States, probably. So.
Very cool. How soon do you, or what's the latest? Well, I guess 10 days, right? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, I think that's what, because Lulu, I'm not sure how their process works. And I'm actually looking at other distributors because, it's a time sensitive product and people aren't thinking about April at the beginning of March, so it's like, how do I ease this transition? That's part of the subscription, concept, but people are getting, like hearing about this at the end of the month. They're like, oh, I want next month. And it's a little challenging to get. But yeah, I think Lulu says like 10 days for processing and shipping. Sometimes it does come sooner, but it's like, it's kind of out of my hands. So I always just say the longest window is what's happening.
Yeah. I think that'd be really great if you could figure out the subscription.
Yeah, that's in the works right now. I have a lady working on the back end to get that going. And then some people, like I have a few women who order in bulk, like they order 10 or 15 and they have them in their shops and offer them to their clients. So it's, there's a lot of different options for it.
Amazing. So you'll go back and post all this in the group, right? All the different options and everything. Okay, amazing. Okay. So Callie also says, I have a really hard time keeping a journal. I feel blank when I try to write. Do you have any tips to maybe help the ball rolling for those of us who don't know the best way to start?
Yeah. Well, that's part of why I sectioned it the way that I did, because I tend to be that way too. It's like, what am I going to write about? But it's very intentional. It's like, what am I grateful for? And that can be any level. It can be like the deep gratitude of like, I am so grateful to be alive on the planet right now at this like massive change point in history. And I'm also really grateful for my dog. Like it can be anything that is true for you right now. And mine's different every day. I actually stop and drop into my body and just ask like, what do I feel grateful for right now? And I acknowledge that in the journaling. So that part's different every day. the creation journaling, I repeat it almost every day, the same things. It's like, what am I calling in? What do I want to create right now? And I am literally reprogramming my unconscious mind. This is what I am experiencing right now. Because our minds don't know, or our bodies don't know the difference. Like when our mind is in a story or make believe versus, or remembering something versus when it's actually happening, our body has the same somatic response. So it's like I'm conditioning my unconscious mind to my new reality. And so I write almost the same thing every day. And when it feels like it needs upgraded or tweaked or changed, I do that. But I kind of sit with like, what am I wanting to create right now? And I really be with that sensation. I'm a non-specific manifester in human design. So for me, it's like feeling what it feels like to experience these realities versus other people need to say like, I have $10,000 in cash in my bank account, like more specific manifestation techniques.
That's me.
Yeah.
And I saw Mallory do this, which is why we are kind of opposites on a lot of the things.
Yeah. But that's what offers stability and balance, right? Like if everybody was exactly the same, then it can get a little skewed. Right? So there's specific information and focus on where to journal.
Yeah, cool. All right. So Kristen says, one of the things I try to do is stop and pause and reflect at the big cycles of the year, the equinoxes, the solstices. Of course, year end is December solstice, and it's always so helpful to reflect. So 100%. Do you have that also? Is that kind of getting planned into the journal?
So each month in the beginning, I have like a month overview. And so it's like, here are the major events that are happening this month. And there's a calendar of the moon cycles too. So you can kind of see where the full moon, where the new moon is, how she's moving. But then at the bottom, it's a summary of like the big events, energetic events that are happening this month. Because they sneak up on me. Like I'm going through my month. It's like, oh my gosh, it's something I should be doing right now. So to have that like kind of overview lets me plan ahead a little bit too.
Yeah, cool. Okay, and then Kelly's on here saying that she would love to do the PDF. So amazing. Yeah,
awesome.
This is going to be so good.
Well, and that's something else that the lady that's doing all the automation, she's like, you could also make a subscription out of the PDF each month. People can download it and print it if they would prefer, and just create their own binder. I love pretty official things, and so I love having the printed book. But that works really well too. In fact, that's what I was doing the first month before my book came. So
yeah. Okay, so now I have another question.
Yes.
I'm always this curious soul. I always have a ton of questions. So I know Mallory pretty well. So like for me, I really like to write everything. I mean, I really do. I like to write it. I like to have that energy there. And I remember when we were talking about journaling, this was like probably a few years ago, Mallory, and you were saying that you actually like to type it out, like on the computer. Do you still do that, Mallory, or do you write?
Some I do on the computer. My daily journaling, I do write out, but the ones that, were super long assignments and stuff that we were doing in the programs that we were doing, I was typing them. I'm actually starting to have a little bit of issues with my hands now because I'm actually typing a lot, but when I move to the pen, it actually hurts. Mm-hmm. So like when I did my 11/11, I did journaling on the 11/11 portal for 2020, and so I did all of that in typing, and apparently I did it by typing in 2019 as well, because I found that document. So it's funny that Jamy was talking about how she looked back and how all of the things came to fruition. And I looked at that and I was like, apparently I already knew that I was a non-specific manifester, because nothing in there was actually highly specific. And I was like, oh, but that happened, and that happened, and that happened. And I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And it just really puts things in perspective, because it's just like, you can feel in the day-to-day, like nothing's happening, like things aren't moving, like what's going on. And then you look back and you're like, oh, okay, well, that's where I was.
Yeah.
And look at all the stuff that did happen, that did happen. And Anyway, so I personally like typing just because I have places on my computer where everything lives, where I feel like the books in my house just sort of wander off and I'm not sure where they go, to be perfectly honest. So like for me, it's just interesting when we're talking about like the different types of people in the world. It's like, I would love a beautiful book to write in. And then I go, and it would walk off at some point. And so I'm like, PDFs for somebody like me would be probably actually a lot better because it's a little bit harder for a binder to walk off versus, and I have these huge binders from when I was a classroom teacher. So it'd be really easy to just be like, okay, I have a month in the small binder. Okay, then transfer it into the big binder. Now I have the next month, So that seems like a perfect thing for me, actually.
Yeah. Do you also have it available just to do it through typing? Do you have that version available yet?
Not yet, but I am actually talking to an app developer who, like if I could just look on my phone and see all of this, as opposed to like 5 different apps to see each of it, would be really cool. And then it would be, a support journal or, PDF type of thing. But really, it's like you can use these prompts to journal in any journal. For me, it was the devotional practice. Like if it's not right here and easy and like even the defined space, like it's like I have this much space, I can do that. Like I can I can focus long enough to do that because I'm quick. Like I'm on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing usually. And so this like forces me, get in here, let's get this out, let's be with this, and then put it away for the day and move on. So so I am working on other ways to interact and utilize this information as well.
Yeah. Well, amazing. So, well, if I don't see any other, hey, Adam's on now. I don't, let's see, what am I trying to say? It's been about an hour, so I wanted to wrap it up, but I'm so excited because Jamy is going to be coming into the group and is going to be teaching on some of these aspects and bringing more of this knowledge and your wisdom and your energy into the group that, is definitely serving a million people in the best ways ever, teaching us how to use these tools and implement them into the daily life. And what I think is so beautiful about this is that it is for the beginner and for the more advanced.
Yeah.
So
I want to make it like accessible and usable for anybody that wants to interact with it. It's like you can do as much or as little as you want, and you can use the space any way you want. It's like at the beginning, I'm like, this is your space, this is your book, this is your sovereignty. So even if I suggest creation journaling, use it in the way that works for you. It's like always handing the power back to individuals, because we do tend to want to outsource and like take other people's perspective and wisdom sometimes. And it's like always just reminding people to come back to what they already know and to learn how to trust that. I mean, like Mallory, you even saying you already knew that you were a non-specific manifester without knowing it, and it's like our humanness and maybe our ego likes the confirmation that like what I knew all along actually is true. It's actually the way I'm built. Kind of like, I'm wise. I know. I think it helps us to trust going forward, though. It's like, oh, I did know that about myself. And so whether or not I get proof or confirmation of this thing, I can trust my knowing. So,
I'm one of those that has to have the confirmation constantly, even though I know, it just builds that trust within. And then
I would love to see your guys' human design charts, because, that's part of that.
I will gladly send it to you.
Yeah.
Is there a stubborn gate? Because I'm pretty sure that's my only problem.
Stubborn, that's it. I will find
comfortable. Do not make me move.
I can't wait to see yours too. Then.
Yeah. I love it too, though, because it also, like with every confirmation for me, it makes me go like it's confirmation that I'm on the right path. It's confirmation that I'm aligned with where I'm supposed to be and what I'm doing and in my design, and just that ease And then I also love it. The more that you learn about all these different tools, the more you can, you figure out where you're not in alignment.
Right.
What is pulling you
What
out of
that
your
feels
sovereignty?
like, what that looks like, what that,
Yeah.
totally.
And then, what I think is really going to be cool for me, I'm really excited about this. I'm excited for you to come into the group also and start to do this stuff, because again, it comes back to it's in you. Your body is telling you these messages constantly. And the more that you are aware of that and beginning to understand yourself, the more you don't need these tools.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's, I like, people are always like, oh, life didn't come with a manual. And it's like human design kind of is a manual for the way you're made. Like if you can actually learn from it and pay attention and utilize your design, it kind of is a manual for the way you're built to move through this planet, and move through this life and on this planet, I should say. So yeah. And the other thing too, is that I'm also like, do a lot of parenting stuff. And what you were talking about for adults is that for most of our lives, we were not directed towards our own wisdom. Our parents knew better, then our teachers knew better, then our bosses knew better. And we were never taught, what does your body say? What does your wisdom say? What does your desire guide you to? And so it really is a process for adults to learn to tap into that, to trust it, to utilize it, because we've always had it. We've just never been encouraged or taught how to actually connect to it. So, yeah.
I love that, because again, this is what's come, this is the new timeline. This is the energy of the new timeline and we're all spiral practitioners and also other things. But, we talk about spiral specifically here in this group a lot, and emotional clearing, and we even come in and do clearing sessions, and it's so amazing to have that conditioning.
And I will add, from a parenting perspective, that this journal has been helpful for me too. Like, I have two kids, two very different kids, and like I noticed, my younger kid is a little more agitated during certain, like when the moon's in certain places, they're more amped up or more agitated, and knowing their human design too. Like I used to get so frustrated, they do things a certain way. And then I learned their human design. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the way they're built. Like I got to deal with my own triggers around that instead of thinking they should be doing something different than the way they're built. So these tools are useful in interpersonal relationships, at work, within your own life, as a parent, like all of those things. It's just, it's life-changing in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
That's just, what we commonly hear from parents is, you didn't come into this world with a manual. And it's like, oh, but actually now we do have a manual. Sort of. Because I think there are a few new parents in the group as well. So
feel free to ask parenting questions too, because that's my other jam, is like radically redefining the way that we operate in family, because we've been doing it backwards for a long time. So my thing is, my one daughter, she's like a rabbit is her energy. So her ears are always up, like picking up information. And I was like, come sit at the dinner table. Like I would get so frustrated, but she'd wander off and do all these things. And I was getting so frustrated. And then I'm like, oh my, like she needs to be moving actually. Like she can actually digest her food better and integrate the information or the food better if she's actually like kind of in movement. She'll take and then she'll go do something and take. So it was like I had to decondition my own idea that like dinner time is important and this is when we connect and this is the hub of the family or whatever. And it's like we can create that connection space anytime in our day. It doesn't have to be around food and eating at the dinner table at 6 o'clock every night. It's like letting ourselves ease into more alignment with whatever's true for us. So
And so for anybody who might be wondering why she went off on that tangent, human design is so specific to having an outline for the environment you should be eating in, or the lighting, or the types of food, or whether you should eat foods one at a time. And I'm using should, but you know what I mean. So that's how specific human design gets. So if you are having struggles in the parenting world with anything, it doesn't have to just be with how do you have emotional engagement and interaction with your children. It can be any of those things. Are you having trouble getting them to eat? Are you having trouble getting them to eat certain foods? There might be something in the environment. So sounds like Jamie's your go-to person. So I'm glad that she's going to be in here teaching, because she's ridiculously intelligent. I want to lick her brain. But like, so definitely come at her with those questions, or,
I'm happy to help and respond to any of that. I love it. I love getting into that with people and supporting that. So
I know.
sometimes it's a little crazy making, like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing, and we can get overwhelmed. Sometimes it's nice to just be like, yeah, me too. Like, it is a crazy journey, and we'll make it through. We got this. So yes, I know this isn't a parenting live, but I can't help it.
I know. I'm over here going, oh, and that's something, and that's something. I have a feeling that there's something that's coming on here, or brewing, even with the parenting, with just everything that's going on with the online schooling. And, I mean, all of this is so applicable to what's happening in our lives.
Yeah. Well, human design talks about like, there are more creatives coming into the world. Like, they would never have fit long-term into a school system, actually. Like, that's why the school system has to change, because it was built for employees, and for creating a workforce. And there are more creatives and more like free-flowing kids coming into the planet. So yeah, it's, it was bound to change, and we didn't know how exactly, but just understanding that and being able to support ourselves and, support the change in our own perspectives around, dogma, like in emotional clearing. It's like the way we have always done it, and realize that actually we can write the rules for ourselves and what works for us. Yeah. Having freedom to do that. I unschool my kids, by the way, so we have a lot of freedom. And we've never tried to fit into a system, and we have really just like followed the flow of life in a pretty radical way. So
it's really, for anybody who's interested in that, also conscious parenting. And your children are doing amazing. One already has a business, and she's how old? 14?
She's 14.
I mean,
10-year-old is now 2.
It's amazing. When I first started learning about human design, this is funny. We're going over a little bit, but it's like the conversation just continues to go. When I first started learning about human design, my son was getting close to dropping out of school. And then whenever I learned more about his design, then I realized he's not supposed to be going to traditional school. So we made arrangements to where he went to a technical school, but got high school credits. And he thrived there.
Yes, exactly. I actually just talked to another unschooler. Their kid dual enrolled and took colleges as a dual enrolled student at the local community college. So he used those classes to get his diploma from high school, but all of those credits transferred, and he's starting college as a junior at 19, because all of those AP courses transferred, and I think it's saving them like $120K in tuition, like credits that tuition would have cost. I'm like, why are we doing it the way that we've always done it?
All of the stuff that people don't want you to know.
Yeah, totally.
I know. We can totally just blow people's minds.
We have to just do live more often, so you can just chit chat about stuff.
I know.
What do you want to talk about?
It'll just be a Q&A. This is what's on our mind. This is where we're going. But all right. Well, I want to be mindful of your time. So just real quick, I just want to say thank you so much for being here. What I like to do, or what we like to do as we close these up, is kind of go around and say, like, what are we working on right now? What's the passion? What's happening right now in our lives? So, I'll go with Jamy first. You want to go ahead and just say what you're offering, what kind of services, what's happening in your life? Because you always have so much.
But right now I'm actually getting really excited about human design readings, but very unique, either to a family structure, because that changed my life when I actually started to recognize how me and my kids and my partner interact. It's like these places of tension. I got to see why they were there and be more conscious about working around them. And then I am a spiral practitioner, which I don't do quite as much anymore, but I am very passionate about womb spiral, the process of actually doing a spiral on your womb and clearing any trauma and stories and, blocks that we have in tapping into our feminine wisdom, our sensuality, like our manifestation abilities and all of that. And that's basically it, like the human design thing. I am going to start doing actually custom clears for your chart. So looking at all of your gates and your open centers and specifically clearing exactly what we need to get you in full alignment, minus the dogma and the beliefs and all of that, with what you're here to do on the planet. So that's in the works.
Good. Love that. Mallory, what's going on in your life?
Yeah. So I just launched a series of clearing and Akashic Records sessions that are specific to specific deities that I've gotten really close to over the past few, really the last year is when they were starting to show up, but I was in resistance to, because that's how Mallory rolls. But I have a Hecate session where we're clearing around magic and magnetism. I have a Thoth, Thoth, I've always called him Thoth, session where we are doing clearing around soul wisdom and discipline. And Lilith is all about sexuality and healing and freedom. So and then there's clearings around that. So they're really juicy. I'm really excited about them. And then I also, this last round of spiral, my last spiral cohort, I did their spiral in the Akashic Records, which just the three of us know how powerful spiral is on its own. And then it's like getting the added openness of the channel to be able to pull other information in and added insight in, just really, in my opinion, has up leveled the already pretty drastic and amazing results. So I am currently taking applications for those who are ready for the spiritual / emotional experience of a lifetime. So
I love that. Of a lifetime. Yes.
Exciting.
Good.
what about you, Lori?
I have
lots of stuff.
I have a lot going on. So I'm an Aquarius and it's my birthday month. So I have like everything that I'm offering right now for the next couple of days. I think it's only like 3 more days is 50% off. That's the lowest it ever gets every single year. I just love celebrating my birthday. And it comes from not celebrating my birthday. And so now that I'm on my own, and when I say on my own, this all came from my first relationship that was the domestic violence and all of that. So now it's like I've stepped into celebrating all the things. So I always do this every single year. So on LoriKinsey.com, there's everything that's in there, including spiral, including everything, quantum clearing. But I'm super excited about 2 things that are happening. Well, 3 things that are happening in there. So one is Say Yes to Soul. I actually took all of my signature programs that were super, this is what I mean by the new energetics of the new year. Before they were like thousands of dollars to work with me a month. And this new timeline that we're going into, I was like, no, I don't want to do that anymore. So I'm literally doing almost the same thing that I was offering at $65 a month. That's it. And if you wanted to come in and use the half off, the 50% off, then it will only be half of that. So what is that? 30? I don't math well. So whatever that is. But
something in the middle of that.
yeah. And it's
30 something.
30 something. A month. And so one is Say Yes to Soul. This is actually something that I decided to build after to support those who had gone through spiral. And then this is like the rebuild of designing and creating your life. And then Visionary Unleashed is for the visionary creatives out there, the visionary leaders. So we work on whatever project or basically your vision, your legacy, whatever it is that you desire to create. That's what we work on in that one. And then the container, I had some clients that were like, wait a second, what does this mean? So they're like, well, we kind of want to be over here with the one-on-one with you still. So what's going on? So anyway, that's actually a very intimate container of only like 4 or 5. And you're able to do one of these programs, but then also work one-on-one with me along with other visionaries. So it's actually really, it's so fun, actually, what's been happening in there. So fun. And to actually see, again, the energetics of the new year as people shift and they're shifting their visions and they're shifting, they're becoming more conscious leaders versus just throwing spaghetti at the wall,
Yeah.
Anyway, it's been so fun. Mm-hmm.
It's been so nice to talk to you guys. I feel like I just want to do this all the time.
All day, every day. Let's just show up on live streams together and just talk to each other.
Yeah.
I like it.
Totally.
I like it. Okay, well, have an amazing rest of your day. Thank you, everybody who has shared this, your time, your energy, this space with us live, also on the replay, and just anyone who listens to the audio. We're going to be doing this in all the places.
All the formats, all the places.
Yeah. Please ask your questions because I know this is intense. There can be intense work and also complicated. It can be complicated, but Jamie's amazing at simplifying everything.
Thank you.
Please ask the questions. All right. Is there anything else that we need to talk about? Right. Okay. Well, have an amazing, fabulous day, and I'll talk to you all soon.
Bye.
Bye.
And live your life today.